Hello everyone, my name is Javier Vergara with the Alpine Electronics Restyle team, and today I want to show you how to do an install on an X009-FD1, and we're going to be doing that on this 2014 F-150. So let's get going. So one of the most common questions we get is, how do we know if the FD1 kit is compatible with the Ford system we have? Well, the easiest way to do it is with the HVAC. This is a removable analog HVAC, so if this piece comes off, then you know it's compatible. And that's pretty much the easiest way to find out if this kit is going to work in your F-150. So we're going to start by removing this covers, because we're going to need access to both of these places. On this side, we're going to take this rubber cover off, and on this other one, we're going to take this other rubber cover off. Okay, and what you see is that we have two screws here, and then we have two screws here. These need to come off so that we can gain access to the back of the head unit. This is where we're going to place our GPS antenna, and we're also going to need to take 3 bolts here because the airbag needs to come out. There's a screw back here so we can take this vent out. We're also going to be removing these 2 screws here, and so this section comes out, so that this vent also comes out. Okay, now we're also going to be taking this sink cover out because there's another screw back here. And from this step, we can just take this whole piece out. And here, all we need to do is take these 4 screws out. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4. So now we're going to flash our Maestro module. And one thing you need to know is, yes, I am using a Mac, but I am running Parallels. So if you have a Windows PC, then you have nothing to worry about. Just keep going with your Internet Explorer. For those of you that happen to have a Mac, make sure you are running Parallels if you want to be able to flash your module with the Mac. Okay, so let's get going. We'll plug it in, and we'll flash our module to this Ford F-150. So we're going to go to the iDataLink website, and then we're going to click on Flash Your Module. Once we click Flash Your Module, the hardware is going to be detected. Okay, and then after the hardware is detected, we're going to start by selecting the vehicle. In this case, we're working with a Ford, and the year is 2014, and the model is an F-150. Okay, we're going to select the trim. The trim does not have factory navigation, so we want the Ford without My Ford and without My Ford Touch, because these 2 systems are not compatible. So click on that, and we're going to select the steering control. In this case, they only have 1 steering control to select from, so we're going to go ahead and confirm that. And now we go to select the brand of the head unit, which in this case is Alpine. And then we're going to follow by selecting the model of the head unit, which is the X009-FD1. Okay, and now we're going to enter the serial number of the head unit. So 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to click on Next. So now these are the OEM systems we can retain. In this case, we do have steering wheel control, so we want to keep that. We do have the sync media player, so we also do want to keep that. We want to be able to display the vehicle's information, so yes, we do need that. Does this vehicle have a factory amplifier? Well, no, it does not. So we're going to deselect that. Do we want to keep the sync Bluetooth? Yes, we do. So we're going to keep that as well. And do we want to display gauge information? Yes, we do. So after that, now we click Next. And these are the steering wheel control options. As you can see, most of these have been pre-programmed, but we can always change them to something else, okay? So if you want to change the command for press 1 on volume up, you can actually click on that and select from the drop-down menu. In this case, we're going to leave it the way it is, but you guys make a note that you can actually change all of these commands with the press and hold. And if there is something that hasn't been programmed, then you guys can add or change anything on the fly, okay? So we're going to click on next. Now also on the right hand side you have your print wallet card icon, and what this allows you to do is to actually print a record of the steering wheel control settings that you've programmed. So right after that you're going to click on print if you want to retain a record of that. Okay, so now we have that, we're going to click on out of here and we're going to click on flash your module. So now it's flashing. And we're done. So now we can go on to the next step. So one of the things I like to do is to prep the harness before I get into the vehicle. And that basically gives you an advantage because you don't have to struggle inside the vehicle. So what I like to do is prep everything outside the vehicle. In this case, if this vehicle was equipped with an amplifier, then we would add the RCAs to this harness here. But since it's not equipped with an amplifier, we're just going to leave this aside and connect it straight pass-throughs because this is going to be a high level onto the speakers. Okay. And the second thing I want to do is to prep the module. Make sure you plug everything in, clean up the other harness, and then you can get into the vehicle after all that's done. And that way you're not wasting precious time inside the vehicle or struggling in a tight spot. Alright, so this is already plugged in. Okay. Notice that the pigtail that goes to the microphone is on this side. Okay. We cleaned it up with the tie, plugged it in, so now it's ready for the install. Okay, so right below the tray we were able to locate the area for the GPS antenna and the two CAN bus wires. So what we're going to do is we're going to solder them and move on to the next step. This is our microphone location. All we really just did is use the double side tape with the mount that comes with the microphone, stick it on the windshield, and we're good to go. We just ran the wire down to the back of the head unit and it's all set. Okay, so in this area we're going to trim out this section here so that the head unit is allowed to be shifted up a little with the new brackets. So what I like to do is mark it with a piece of tape and trim it out with the reciprocating saw. Okay, so now we're going to make all the connections. We got our FM antenna adapter. We have our main power harness. And this here is for amplified systems. We don't have an amplified system in this case, so we're just going to leave it aside. This for older F-150s, it goes connected to the sync module. In this case, it's a 2014, so we do not need to connect it. So the next step is to secure our Maestro onto the factory harness right behind the head unit so it doesn't move around or rattle. And then we'll start hooking up our head unit. Now, because there is no place for the sync port in our FD1 kit, what we need to do here, if we want to retain these such connections, we added an extension which you can basically buy any of these. They come in different shapes such as round and square, which is something like this here. Okay. And basically all you need to do is basically find a place where you want to mount it. I mean, it could be here in the pocket. One place I found to be really easy to do, it's down here. So you'll be trimming this section out and placing the port there. Now in this case, with this one, it's a much easier way to do it because all you really need to do is just drill a hole with the hole saw. This thing screws on and you are set to go. So that's what we're going to do now to retain the sync auxiliary and the sync USB port. So as you bring in the head unit, make sure you get all the wires out of the way. See, it slides right in, nothing behind it. And something that I like to recommend is for everyone to use a hand tool instead of using a cordless drill, because we're going to get too close to the edge and we don't want to damage the face of the head unit. So make sure you guys use hand tools when you guys are doing this. So our head unit is nice and secure. Now we can initialize the module and then we can check the bezel, make sure that the phase opens correctly. Now we're going to initialize the module, and all you really need to do here is cycle the key on and off as instructed on the display. So as it tells you cycle off, turn the key off. As it tells you turn the key on to accessory, turn it back to accessory. Okay, so modules are initialized. Now we're going to bring in our bezel. We're going to connect our HVAC control. And we're also going to hook up the hazard and airbag warning lights. And then we'll snap it into place. Okay. So the next thing we want to do is make sure that the phase opens and closes correctly. So we're turning the key on. Okay, one thing we want to do is make sure we set up the navigation or initial setup. That way it'll increase our boot up time the next time we turn the head unit on. Okay, so now we want to open the face. And as you can see, it's not rubbing. There's no problem with it opening and closing. So now we can go ahead and check the rest of the functions. We've got steering wheel control up, down. Okay. Track up. Track down. Source. Sync. So everything else seems to be working fine. Let's check some of the vehicle information. So we got some of the vehicle information here. We got our tire pressure there. We got our voltage. So we seem to be okay now. So now we can go ahead and button up the rest of the vehicle, and we're done. So that's a wrap. We got our unit in. We checked all the functions. Everything seems to be working properly. So if you need more product information, visit us at alpine-usa.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram.